In the annals of American history, few figures loom as large as George Washington. He is the father of our nation, the general who led us to victory, the president who set the course for our republic. But who was the man behind the legend? Washington's life was a tapestry woven from threads of ambition and humility, of courage and compassion. His story is our story, a tale of revolution, of nation building, of the enduring struggle to forge a more perfect union. George Washington's journey began amidst the rolling fields and forests of colonial Virginia. Born in 1732 to a family of modest means, he inherited a legacy of land ownership and public service. While his formal education was limited, he received a practical upbringing, learning the skills of surveying, farming, and leadership. The death of his father when George was just 11 cast a long shadow over his youth. Thrust into a position of responsibility, he helped manage the family estate and care for his younger siblings. This early experience instilled in him a strong work ethic, a sense of duty, and a deep connection to the land. The French and Indian War provided Washington with his first taste of military life. Serving as a young officer, he displayed bravery and tactical acumen, though he also encountered setbacks and learned valuable lessons from defeat. As tensions with Great Britain escalated in the 1770s, Washington emerged as a staunch advocate for colonial rights. When war became inevitable, he was the unanimous choice to lead the Continental Army, a testament to his reputation for integrity, courage, and military skill. The weight of a nation's hopes and dreams rested on Washington's shoulders. Yet he persevered, holding the army together through sheer force of will, inspiring his men with his unwavering commitment to the cause of liberty. George Washington's roots were firmly planted in the soil of colonial Virginia. Born on February 22, 1732 at Pope's Creek Estate, he entered a world defined by agriculture, land ownership, and a rigid social hierarchy. Growing up on Ferry Farm, young George developed a deep connection to the land. He learned the practical skills of farming, surveying, and managing crops, experiences that would shape his lifelong appreciation for the natural world. The death of his father, Augustine Washington, when George was just 11, had a profound impact on the young man. Thrust into a position of responsibility, he helped his mother, Mary Ball Washington, manage the family estates and care for his younger siblings. As Washington matured, he sought to elevate his social standing and expand his horizons beyond the confines of Ferry Farm. He cultivated relationships with influential figures in Virginian society, including his half-brother Lawrence, who had married into the prestigious Fairfax family. Eager to prove himself worthy of the Washington name and driven by an unyielding ambition, he embarked on a career as a surveyor. This profession took him across the vast and untamed wilderness of the Virginia frontier. It was during these expeditions that Washington honed his leadership skills, his resilience, and his ability to command respect in challenging situations. In 1759, at the age of 26, George Washington married Martha Dandridge Custis, a wealthy widow and mother of 2 young children. The union was one of companionship and mutual respect, rather than passionate love. Though the couple had no children of their own, Washington embraced Martha's children, John Parke Custis and Martha Parke Custis, as his own. The death of Patsy Custis from epilepsy in 1773 was a devastating blow to Washington. Throughout their marriage, Martha remained a steadfast presence in Washington's life, managing their Mount Vernon estate and offering him counsel and companionship. Even as he ascended to positions of power and influence, George Washington remained grounded by a strong moral compass and an unwavering commitment to integrity. He possessed a reserved and dignified demeanor, often described as aloof by some, but which commanded respect and admiration. Washington's reputation for honesty and fairness was legendary. He abhorred corruption and was known for his meticulous record-keeping and careful management of finances. In an era marked by political intrigue, George Washington stood as a beacon of stability and principle. George Washington's entry into the world of politics was a gradual but steady progression, fueled by a growing sense of duty to his colony. His early experiences as a surveyor had exposed him to the vastness and potential of the American colonies. In 1758, at the age of 26, Washington was elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses. As a Burgess, he witnessed firsthand the growing tensions between Great Britain and its American colonies. He became a vocal critic of British policies that he viewed as unjust and oppressive. Washington's growing reputation for integrity and sound judgment did not go unnoticed, laying the foundation for his future role as a revolutionary leader. The outbreak of hostilities between Great Britain and its American colonies in 1775 thrust George Washington onto the center stage of history. On June 15, 1775, the Continental Congress unanimously elected Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. The Continental Army was a ragtag collection of poorly equipped and inexperienced militiamen facing the might of the British Empire. Despite the overwhelming odds, Washington accepted the mantle of leadership with characteristic humility and determination. He knew that the road ahead would be long and arduous, fraught with challenges and setbacks. Yet, he was undeterred, driven by an unwavering belief in the righteousness of the cause and the indomitable spirit of the American people. The early years of the Revolutionary War tested Washington's leadership and the resolve of the Continental Army. Faced with superior British forces, dwindling supplies, and low morale, Washington orchestrated a series of strategic retreats and daring maneuvers. Despite facing numerous setbacks, including the loss of New York City and the harsh winter at Valley Forge, Washington never wavered in his belief that victory was attainable. He inspired his troops with his unwavering determination and genuine concern for their well-being. Washington's strategic brilliance was evident in his daring victories at Trenton and Princeton, reinvigorating the spirits of the Continental Army. The turning point of the Revolutionary War came in 1777 with the American victory at Saratoga, New York. This decisive victory convinced France to formally ally with the United States, providing much-needed financial and military support. In 1781, Washington, in a brilliant strategic maneuver, marched his army south to Yorktown, Virginia, where a combined American and French force trapped the British Army under General Cornwallis. The Siege of Yorktown culminated in the British surrender on October 19, 1781. With the war won, Washington resigned his commission as Commander-in-Chief, returning to Mount Vernon as a private citizen, cementing his reputation as a man of unparalleled integrity. Following the war, Washington yearned for a quiet retirement at Mount Vernon. However, the fledgling nation faced new challenges. The Articles of Confederation proved inadequate, leading to economic instability and political infighting. In 1787, Washington was persuaded to attend the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. Though he had hoped to return to private life, Washington's sense of duty to the nation he had helped create would once again call him to the forefront of public service. In 1789, George Washington became the first president of the United States. His inauguration took place on April 30, 1789, in New York City. Washington approached his new role with a mix of humility and determination. Despite his personal reluctance to return to public life, he recognized the importance of setting a strong foundation for the fledgling republic. Washington's election was unanimous, reflecting the immense trust and respect he commanded. His first term focused on stabilizing the new government and establishing protocols for the executive branch. Washington's leadership style was characterized by careful deliberation and a consultative approach, often seeking advice from his cabinet members. George Washington's presidency was instrumental in defining the role and powers of the executive branch. He established many traditions that continue to shape the presidency today. One of his first significant acts was the creation of the presidential cabinet, bringing together key advisors. Washington also set the precedent of delivering an annual State of the Union address, fostering transparency and accountability. He emphasized the importance of adhering to the Constitution and maintaining a balance of power among the branches of government. His appointments laid the foundation for a robust and functioning judicial system, integral to the American legal framework. Section 3. Domestic challenges. Washington's presidency was not without its challenges. Domestically, he faced significant issues that tested the resilience of the new government. One of the most pressing concerns was the economic instability left in the wake of the Revolutionary War. To address this, Washington relied heavily on his Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, who proposed a series of financial measures to stabilize the economy. Hamilton's financial plan included the federal assumption of state debts, the creation of a national bank, and the establishment of a tariff system to generate revenue. While these measures were controversial and faced opposition from figures like Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, Washington supported Hamilton's vision, believing it essential for the nation's financial health. His backing was crucial in the eventual implementation of these policies. Another significant domestic challenge was the Whiskey Rebellion of 1794. Farmers in western Pennsylvania revolted against an excise tax on whiskey, seeing it as an unfair burden. Washington's response was decisive. He personally led a militia force to quell the rebellion, demonstrating the federal government's authority and willingness to enforce the law. This action reinforced the principle that the government had both the right and the power to levy taxes and maintain order. Section 4. Foreign Affairs and Farewell. Washington navigated complex relationships with foreign powers. The young nation was caught between Britain and France. Washington's foreign policy aimed to remain neutral. His Neutrality Proclamation of 1793 declared impartiality. In his farewell address, he warned against political parties and foreign alliances. Washington's departure set a precedent for peaceful transfer of power. From the battlefields to the halls of government, George Washington projected an aura of authority and quiet strength that commanded respect and inspired loyalty. His physical presence was imposing. Standing over 6 feet tall, he towered over most men of his era. His piercing blue-gray eyes, often described as carrying a hint of sadness, seemed to see into the souls of those he encountered. Washington possessed a natural dignity and reserve that some mistook for aloofness. He was not a man prone to emotional displays or backslapping familiarity. Yet, beneath his reserved exterior beat the heart of a passionate leader, deeply committed to the ideals of liberty, justice, and the well-being of his nation. His silences were often more powerful than words, conveying a sense of unwavering determination and thoughtful consideration. Those who knew him best spoke of his unwavering integrity, his strong sense of duty, and his deep-seated humility. He abhorred flattery and sought no personal gain from his public service. His actions were guided by a strong moral compass and an unwavering belief in the principles upon which the nation was founded. He led by example, inspiring trust and confidence in those around him. George Washington's leadership style was a blend of decisiveness and careful deliberation. He was not afraid to take charge, as evidenced by his bold actions during the Revolutionary War. However, he also understood the importance of seeking counsel and carefully weighing his options. He surrounded himself with capable advisors, men like Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson, and valued their insights, even when they disagreed with his own views. Washington possessed a remarkable ability to remain calm under pressure. Whether facing down a mutinous army or navigating the treacherous waters of partisan politics, he rarely betrayed his emotions. His composure inspired confidence in those around him and projected an image of strength and stability during times of uncertainty and turmoil. He understood the importance of unity and sought to bridge the divides that threatened to tear the young nation apart. He recognized that the success of the American experiment depended on the ability of its citizens to set aside their differences and work together for the common good. His own example of selfless service and unwavering dedication to the nation served as a powerful unifying force. Perhaps the most defining aspect of George Washington's presidential personality was his deep-seated belief in the limits of executive power. He understood that he was not a king, but a servant of the people. He viewed his role as president as a temporary one, entrusted to him by the citizens of the newly formed nation. His actions were guided by a profound respect for the Constitution and a determination to establish precedents that would ensure the survival of democracy. Washington's decision to step down after 2 terms as president was a testament to his commitment to Republican ideals. He believed that power, even when wielded with the best of intentions, had a corrosive effect. By voluntarily relinquishing the presidency, he set a powerful example for future generations of American leaders, demonstrating that the peaceful transition of power was paramount in a democracy. George Washington's presidential personality was a unique blend of strength and humility, decisiveness and restraint. He was a man of his time, shaped by the values and beliefs of 18th century Virginia, yet his leadership transcended his era, leaving an indelible mark on the course of American history. George Washington's pivotal role in securing American independence is his most significant achievement. As commander-in-chief, he led colonists to victory against the world's most powerful military. His strategic brilliance and determination inspired his troops through hardship. Washington's leadership was marked by understanding his force's limitations and enemy strengths. He skillfully avoided major engagements, focusing on wearing down the British. His victories at Trenton and Princeton reinvigorated the American spirit. Beyond the battlefield, he instilled discipline and patriotism in his troops. Beyond his military triumphs, Washington played a crucial role in establishing American democracy. As president of the Constitutional Convention, he presided over debates that led to the United States Constitution. As the nation's first president, Washington set precedents that shape the presidency today. He established the cabinet system, bringing together trusted advisors. He appointed John Jay as the first Chief Justice, establishing the judiciary as an independent branch. George Washington's legacy extends far beyond the battlefield. He became a symbol of American independence and leadership. His farewell address is a masterpiece of political wisdom. Stepping down after 2 terms set a powerful precedent. Washington's impact inspired global movements for independence. His example continues to inspire leaders and citizens worldwide. As the 18th century drew to a close, George Washington, the man who had led a fledgling nation to independence and guided its first steps as a republic, prepared to take his leave. He had served his country with unwavering dedication, sacrificing personal comfort and ambition for the greater good. His contributions to the birth and early development of the United States were immeasurable. Washington's legacy was not one of flawless perfection, but of human striving on an epic scale. He had made mistakes, faced moments of doubt and despair, and wrestled with the immense weight of responsibility thrust upon him. Yet through it all, he had remained steadfast in his commitment to the principles of liberty, justice, and self-governance. The nation he had helped create faced a future filled with both promise and uncertainty. The experiment in democracy was still in its infancy, and the challenges ahead were daunting. But Washington, in his farewell address, had imparted his wisdom, urging his countrymen to embrace unity, guard against factionalism, and remain vigilant in their defense of the hard-won freedoms they now enjoyed. On December 14, 1799, George Washington passed away at his beloved Mount Vernon, surrounded by family and friends. The news of his death sent shockwaves of grief throughout the nation and across the Atlantic. The man who had been a steady hand at the helm, a symbol of stability and strength, was gone. Tributes poured in from across the globe, hailing Washington as a hero, a statesman, and a true giant of his age. He was lauded for his military genius, his political acumen, and his unwavering commitment to the principles of republicanism. But perhaps the most enduring tributes came from ordinary citizens who recognized in Washington a leader who had embodied the very best of the American spirit. With the passing of George Washington, America bid farewell, not only to its first president, but also to an era. The revolution had been won, the nation had been forged, and the foundation for a more perfect union had been laid. It was now up to future generations to build upon that foundation, guided by the principles of liberty, justice, and self-governance that Washington had fought so hard to secure.